This conference will now be recorded.
A couple of minutes and then we can start. We'll get started then. I'm not sure how many of you attended the last demo. You three are attended. Anyone of you? Yeah, Purnisha. Yeah, I've attended. Okay. How about you? Oh,
Yeah,
last
we,
month.
we haven't attended
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, can you guys hear me on online?
Yeah, we haven't attended your last demo.
Okay, no problem. Just give me a minute. I'll get started. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you attended last demo or not. That was just about basics. Why do you need DevOps? What do you need to learn, and then how it helps you. That's all about it. The demo. So we'll get into the what is Azure DevOps right now, and from today we will learn uh, how to use Azure DevOps to automate your different application software development life cycles in depth. That means at any given point of time, the given okay, they don't understand. So you will understand what is Azure DevOps, how to use it, and also for any given project, be it .NET or Java or anything, you will be able to do automated build and deployments. Not only that one, you also do project planning because most of the times project managers do the project planning from their Excel sheet or from the Microsoft Office. I mean, they have different project work and everything, right? They use different software to manage their schedules, resource planning, and as well as they track the project efficiency, right? And then only it comes to the developers or architects who will do the development, and then it goes to the release managers or release engineers who basically deploy your application to the servers, and that is a different thing. And after that, it goes to the some maintenance team who basically monitor your applications 24 by 7, who you really don't know this. but you also set up some guidelines for them as well of how to do that one. You are not an expert in all the areas, but you know what to tell. So, and you need to learn all those things, what to tell those guys as well. So that's what we're going to learn from Azure DevOps. So complete software development lifecycle, all the way from requirements management till your application running on your servers in any data center or on cloud. So we will learn all that. Okay, since this is Azure DevOps, right? This is on cloud basically. Of course, you also have a on-premise version. That means you can take the Azure DevOps software and install on your laptop or on your server as well, and it just works like any other software on your laptop. But only the problem here, if you are running on your servers, you are responsible for maintaining the software. Let us say you get any latest versions or software updates or patches, any security issues, any software will get into issues, right? And you are responsible for all of that stuff. And also, not only that one, let us say you are increasing your workloads. Let us say today you are doing build and deployments for one or two applications, and tomorrow you may need to do 10, and it might get increased day by day, right? And because of that, you need to increase the number of servers as well, right? Otherwise, it will be very slow, and you are responsible for that one as well. So if you are maintaining these kind of utilities or tools or software in your data center locally, then you are responsible for maintenance of those hardware as well. But so that's where all these PaaS services came, like Azure DevOps runs on Azure Cloud. Okay, we'll explain what is that actually. I'm just giving a background of what is Azure DevOps. So it runs on Azure DevOps, runs on Azure Cloud. You are not responsible for any maintenance of your software or hardware behind it. You just go ahead and start using it, and you will be in. It depends. The fees will be depends on the contract what you have. Let us say your organization might be having pay as you go. That means it's just like our mobile recharge. You pay, you recharge it and you use it, right? Otherwise, a postpaid connection. Here also you have the subscription, basically a monthly basis. So it depends on the subscription level, they get paid actually, the Azure. So we have different ways. So during this demo, we use a PaaS service because I'm not going to install Azure DevOps on my laptop because it will be problematic. It runs a lot of resources, right? And it is a problematic to you as well because there is no difference on-premise or cloud. So everything is same. The way you access, the way you log in, the way you perform, everything is same. It's only that only difference is it is running on your laptop or server, or it is running on some virtual machine on the cloud. Okay, that's the difference. We will talk about all those different flavors as well. So, but for learning purpose or for any bigger organizations, right, they use the PaaS service only. Because even for learning purpose, you can have a trial version and you can use it for 90 days. In that 90 days, you can learn it actually. You don't need to pay anything. All you need is one credit card or debit card to just subscribe to the subscription. That's it. So we also need to know some cloud fundamentals before we get into Azure DevOps. Okay, because let us say you are going to use your servers, right? Let us say you are deploying your application some server. You need to know some fundamentals, right? At least on the server. What's the operating system? How you connect to the server? And what are the different services that are available on the server? And you probably need to know, let us say you are not able to connect to your server. You are some network administrator, I'm not able to connect to the server. And they may open some ports and you will be able to connect to the server. So these kind of things right? When you are going to use server. In the similar way, since Azure DevOps runs on Azure Cloud, you don't need to be knowing the entire philosophy or concepts of the Azure DevOps, means Azure Cloud, but you need to know the fundamentals because you will be using some of those services, Azure Cloud services, even when you are doing the Azure DevOps. Okay, of course, you will not create, since you are an Azure DevOps engineer, you will not create any of the Azure Cloud resources, but you will be asking someone, let us say, you have a cloud administrator role, right? So you have the cloud administrator, be it Azure or AWS. You go and ask them, hey, I need one virtual machine. If you don't know how to ask, let us say you may go and ask a server. If the other person doesn't know what is, you need to use a relevant terminology, right? So what you need to ask. So when you know the fundamentals, you will be able to ask relevant questions. So what we do before we get into Azure DevOps, we cover the fundamentals of cloud as well. So that will keep you in a comfortable position to work with Azure DevOps, because from tomorrow onwards, we will be directly using the Azure DevOps and cloud. So that helps you in the upcoming session. So let's have some fundamentals. So Azure cloud, right? You have n number of public clouds. So Azure, AWS, IBM, and there are Google Cloud, and there are many small cloud providers as well who you don't know actually, but many clients are using that one. And you have the private clouds as well. Private cloud, nothing but I can set up my own cloud on my data center, and but it cannot be sold to anyone because I don't have any payment gateway system. I don't have any facility to partition my system. Let us say this is for my organization, public cloud, etc. So, but people like Microsoft Azure, they have got all these platforms in place, like now payment gateway, subscriptions. These are all the functionalities, right? They developed it over a period of time. It's not possible for small people. They invest a lot. So, public cloud means let us say I'm having cloud. If you are able to purchase something from me, that's public cloud. If you can't purchase something from me, I have a cloud, but I'm not selling. It is only for myself, but it works like a cloud. So this is called a private cloud. It's only between whether you purchase from the external person or cannot. Okay. So if it is a private cloud, it is basically a software like a VMware we install on the servers and we make it as a private cloud. And let us say I have only 2 servers in my data center. Okay. But I can create a 100 virtual machines on those 2 servers and I can give it to all of you guys. Means I am partitioning my physical server with the help of VMware software. In a similar way, the Azure or Amazon using their own proprietary software to partition their physical servers and to give you virtual machines or networks. So that's the difference between a public cloud and a private cloud. So different people learn different cloud. Depends on the job requirements or your interest. So you have Azure cloud and AWS cloud and GCP, right? Currently, the widely used cloud platforms are AWS and Azure, and then the GCP. So we don't know. GCP may also come into picture in later, but these two are bigger market shareholders. So when you say cloud, right, you have three different concepts basically in any cloud, Azure or AWS or GCP. You have an infrastructure service. That means infrastructure. So your servers, your network, your storage, your monitoring utilities, all together you call it as an infrastructure. So if you want to have a virtual machine, okay, in general terminology, virtual machine is a server. Okay, if you want to have a virtual machine, you can simply go ahead and create a virtual machine in cloud and use it. When you are using only these kind of things like virtual machines or storage, that is infrastructure as service. Okay, and then you have a platform as a service. So platform as a service means, let us say you have Oracle HCM or SAP or let us say PeopleSoft. These are all different packages, right? So these guys have the cloud versions as well. That means if you are using your standalone version, you have to install on your laptop or server and use it. The other way is people, let us say, people can't afford, right? Everyone can't afford servers. Buying some 5-6 lakhs and putting it in some room and power AC, they can't afford. But they want to use these softwares, SAP. So they have the cloud version as well. That means what they do, they have this software running on the cloud, and then all you need to do is you just need to subscribe to that one. So basically, you are using a platform, SAP platform for your business purposes or personal purpose. That's called a platform as a service. Here you are not worried about, you are not using any servers or anything. You are directly using their service. And you use SAP or PeopleSoft anything, you go and do your configuration. That's called a platform as a service. Not only this software, anything if you are using like that, that is called as a platform as a service. They set up everything, you just go and use it. Like we have a Zoho services, Zoho books, or you are paying some clear tax, income tax, all those things they are running on cloud, right? You are just using those services, using their platform to use it actually. So that's called platform as a service. Software as a service. This is the third one. Software as a service means now you use a virtual machines, etc. That is a infrastructure as service, and then you use some packages or softwares that is running on the cloud. That's called platform as service. You have another category that is a software as service. So there are many kinds. I will just give you some simple example. Let us say you are having Google Maps, or you are having Apple Maps, and there are n number of maps, right? I have my application running on server. I want to use Maps. So what I do, I integrate the maps with my application, right? So how I integrate? So they give some API, and I integrate that API with my application. So I'm just using the API. I'm not running anything on their platform. So it's not a platform as service. I'm just using their API, integrating with my application, and using the maps. This is called software as service. You are just using their features in your systems. So it can be a software, it can be an API, it can be anything, where you are using their features but not using their platform. So this is the software as a service. So the reason I am telling our Azure DevOps fall into one of these. Okay. So we talked about public cloud and then private cloud and then hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud is nothing but it's not related to specific the cloud terminology. Let us say your application is running, right? You might be having complex application systems. A few components might be running on cloud, and a few components like database servers, something else might be running on your local data center or your own premises, right? So you have both cloud version and non-cloud version. When your applications are running like this, we call it as a hybrid cloud application. And also, you have your companies. Most of the companies they use virtual machines on the cloud as well as the servers on your data center as well. But you really do not identify whether that is until unless a server administrator tells you that this is a virtual machine, you will not feel it because the way you are connecting to the physical server is similar to the way you are connecting to the virtual server as well. So you will not come to know whether that is a virtual machine or a physical machine. So how they are making it very transparent because they connect the public cloud network with your data center network. It's a call, you can call it as a VPN tunnel, so you can call it extension, VLAN. There are many terminologies. That's a cloud related concepts. When they connect together like this and started using the infrastructure both on the data centers and as well as on cloud, we call it as a hybrid. Okay, so these are the few concepts you must know. I mean, before you get into Azure DevOps, not mandatory, but you don't feel comfortable. I mean, if somebody is talking to you about some cloud concepts, you will not understand anything if you don't know the fundamentals. So, so we're going to use Azure DevOps on the cloud, right? So it is basically portal based. It is again a web application. I would say it's a portal. You log into the portal and you see hundreds and hundreds of features on the Azure cloud. Okay, not everyone uses everyone. Not only us, even Microsoft guys don't use everything. Right? They develop, let us say, you don't use hardly 1% of the cloud features. That is not only cloud, even you are a server administrator, you are an application developer, be it in .NET, Java, Python, Perl. Even you work for 20 years, you hardly use 10% of the features available in the programming language. Right? We always evolve. So in the similar way, even Azure Cloud, you have a n number of features. So we just talked about infrastructure as service, platform as service, and software as service. So under those categories, what do you have? You have a virtual machines. That means you create servers and you start using that one. And virtual machine scale set is for scalability. It's make your applications available all the time. And then you also have some app service functions. That means just an example, you are deploying your application to some web server, be it IIS or Apache or Tomcat, anything. So you don't need to set up those things. Even Azure provides features called app service. You simply develop your code and deploy to the app service. Such kind of features. Okay. And Azure Kubernetes service. you have the Kubernetes orchestrator to manage your Docker environments. So this Kubernetes can run on your standalone version, can run on your data center servers, and different vendors have their own flavors. So Azure also came up with their own flavor. That means they extended the Kubernetes service and they made it as a service on Azure cloud. We also work at the fundamental level on AKS as part of our course. This is about Docker and Kubernetes. So here we call it as a AKS Kubernetes, and AWS we call it as a EKS, and GCP they call it as Kubernetes service. Yes, they are the owners of the Kubernetes platform. And then virtual networks means it is providing your networks, subnets, virtual nets, and you can partition the network for the security concepts. Load balancers, VPN gateway, I mean, how you connect your servers between data centers and your cloud services, or you are connecting your applications with the cloud services. All this comes under VPN gateways. And then you have the storage. Let us say you have your hard drives as a storage, but on the servers you have tapes or some storage devices. On the cloud also you have the storage, but you do not see it physically, but you create and use it virtually. So that's why in the cloud terminology, right, everything is virtual. You have a network, you call it as a virtual network. You have a machine, you call it as a virtual machine, like that. Everything is virtual. Likewise, so we also have Azure DevOps. So Azure DevOps, some people call it as a SaaS service. Some people call it as a PaaS service. Don't worry about it. It's just a terminology. So I call it as a PaaS service to my own terminology. So all you do is you go and use Azure DevOps is already set up on the cloud environment. You just need to go and subscribe and start using the features available. So this is easy to use. The reason Azure DevOps comes up with 5 different components that's related to your project management and related to your automated builds and deployments, and then your testing, and then your monitoring, and you have some other features as well, like managing your artifacts. So everything is set up. All you just do is just go and start learning and use it as per your enterprise application build and deployments. You configure them. But if you have to do the same setup using open source components like Jenkins or Bamboo, etc., you might need to set up some minimum at bare minimum 5 to 6 servers, and establish a connectivity between all these servers, and opening ports or configuring these servers as per the software installation and configuration. And also you need to set up authentication and authorization to use the services, right? If you need to set up all these components on your own in your data center, it takes a minimum 2 months and depends on your approval process that works in your company. If you are running in a company which is a bigger organization, it may take more than 2 months as well. Of course, most of the times you might be working only 50%, but that you can't help it, right? You are waiting for someone. So it takes two to 3 months to get that setup done actually. But when you are using a service like a PaaS service like Azure DevOps, you are not spending any time on the setup. From day one, you are going to use it to create your CI/CD pipelines. So I start using now DevOps terminology so that you will get familiarized with that. So Azure DevOps is a PaaS service. You use it from the Azure cloud. For that, you need to have a subscription.
1 second, Purnachandra. 1 second.
Fine.
So yeah,
Yes, please.
whatever the components you are showing here on the screen.
Okay.
Okay. So will you be showing up in the real time and explain like where each
we will learn only Azure DevOps. The reason I'm
Okay.
talking about all these components, people should be knowing some fundamentals of Azure cloud. That's the reason I'm talking about all these different areas. But as part of our course training, so we will learn Azure DevOps, and also we will learn Azure Kubernetes service. Rest of the things we will not cover because they come under Azure Cloud Administration. That's a separate course.
Okay, right.
This is only to give you an idea about Azure Cloud because you are going to use the cloud concepts here.
Okay.
Okay.
But so are we not going to use any of these components within the Azure DevOps, right?
Yes,
If at all-
in Azure Cloud DevOps, we have a number of components. We will cover all that stuff, whatever comes
Okay.
under Azure DevOps. We will talk
Okay.
about all those things in the coming session
Upcoming.
and now
Okay.
itself. Okay.
Okay.
So we will take the question and answers at the end of the session. Otherwise, we cannot continue the flow actually. So please bear with me till 8:55 or 8:50, and I'll take all your questions.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. So let's get started actually. So this is how your Azure DevOps looks like. I mean, you have to log into the Azure portal. So that is portal.azure.com. And if you have a subscription, you can log in. Otherwise, you need to have a Hotmail account or a Windows Live account. Gmail or something doesn't work actually. Or you need to have your company account. So all the public cloud email, I mean public emails are not allowed. So either it should be your company account. Let us say I can create my own website. Right? Let us say purna.com. That still works because this is not public. I have my own domain. But public domains are not allowed other than your Hotmail or Windows Live or your company account. So you create a one subscription. We will show you how to create as well, so that while I'm teaching the concepts here, in your leisure time you can go and practice it. Okay. So what we are going to cover. So this is the Azure DevOps homepage. So you see a lot of features here. You have overview, summary, dashboards, and then the last 5 items you see, right? Artifacts, test plans, pipelines, repos, boards. These are the basically the important components of Azure DevOps. So all these 5 things related to your software development lifecycle. Okay. And then the other things you have dashboards, etc. Right? Just like your to view your status. Dashboards is nothing but you don't want to navigate to different areas of your menu items and see what is happening in your application development or build and deployment. Just like dashboard, having some reports. We will also look at that one because you will learn how to create a dashboard here, so that if you want to know how many applications are failed or successful, what issues are happening. You basically create one dashboard, drag and drop some widgets, and see it on the dashboard itself when you log into your Azure DevOps. Instead of going to each and every menu items, clicking it, and then seeing the individual. So we will look into all these aspects. This is how it looks like. So let's talk about what is Azure DevOps. So Azure DevOps has basically a journey. I mean, if you guys already worked on earlier versions like Visual Source Safe or TFS, you probably be very comfortable because at least 50% of those features are available here, and the additional 50% are added this time. This is just an extension to the older versions. Okay, so initially, I mean, back in 15 years ago, you had a Visual Source Safe, and then it is named as a TFS, and then TFS has got a n number of versions. Let us say TFS 2012, 13, 15, 17, and then after that, it is because the competition is increasing. There are n number of cloud providers are coming up. They also have to have some trendy names, right? So TFS, people are already bored of. They renamed it to Visual Studio Team Services. It is called VSTS. And then they made it available on cloud, VSTS on cloud. So Visual Studio Team Services and cloud. So people, when it was only offline, right, only few people were using VSTS. And when they made it online, so everybody can trial it, right? They don't need to install. So many people started using it. Because you just log into the portal, create a subscription, and start using it. The user base increased, and then later last year they renamed it to the term called Azure DevOps because Azure became very famous and DevOps became very famous. If you say VSTS, right? Even in Google search, you may not get a relevant searches, right? So that's the reason they renamed it to Azure DevOps. Now you see everywhere it is Azure DevOps. Earlier you used to listen now Jenkins, mostly Jenkins. 80% Jenkins, and then you see you might have heard of Bamboo or TeamCity, etc. Now, if you see, Azure DevOps is almost competing with Jenkins. Either people are using Jenkins or Azure DevOps. So that's how they evolve. So that's the journey of Azure DevOps. So if you worked on older versions like TFS, VSTS, you feel very comfortable because you already know some of those areas. The only thing is your terminology changes little bit here, and then the availability of features increased. And if you are spending some 15 hours or 10 hours in your older version of TFS to configure something, probably you will be spending here some 2 to 3 hours because it became very easy to configure, and the plugins are becoming available more and more because now many developers over the world are contributing to Azure DevOps as well. So what basically Azure DevOps provides? So we talked about software development lifecycle. That means you have the requirements management, project management, and then you are creating the code or developing the code, and then somebody is reviewing your code, and then somebody is checking the quality of code, whether you written the code as per the standards or not. Okay, of course it depends on organization to organization, and then you are deploying your code to the servers and then monitoring all these different areas. So Azure DevOps support all those areas to automate those things. As of now we are doing it all these things in a manual way. Okay, now everything will be automated when it comes to Azure DevOps. So the first one, source control management. Okay, that means how you manage your code. It might be .NET, Java, Python, Perl, etc., right? It supports n number of languages. The other reason Azure DevOps became very famous because now it started supporting not only .NET, it started supporting wider variety of programming languages, tools, and utilities. That's why even other guys also coming and started using Azure DevOps. Earlier, when you say Java Garage, they basically are default, they go to Jenkins to start using because Jenkins also developed in Java. Okay, now Azure DevOps started supporting Java as well. And when you compare the usage of Azure DevOps in Jenkins, right, Azure DevOps is pretty much easier because it's all wizard based and the support is there, and Microsoft is known for very well documentation, and I mean unless other providers, it is, I mean even a novice guy can go and understand the document, be it on YouTube or be it on MSDN. Okay, so this version control system, these are all synonyms: version control system, or source control management, or code repository. All these things are synonyms, we can use any term actually. So it supports wide variety of version control systems. Wide variety means we have a TFS is one version control system where you keep your code and files, and you have the Git. I think most of you guys know Git, be it infrastructure guys or be it developers or be it database guys. Git is there, and you also have many other things like Bitbucket, Serena Dimensions, Acquia. So you name some version control system, you already have an integration with Azure DevOps. That means you don't need to worry that, okay, I'm using this version control system. Does your DevOps, Azure DevOps support this? No worries. It supports most of the things in source control management system. And then also Git is acquired by Microsoft. Earlier it was a separate company. Now Git is acquired by Microsoft. That means the integration capabilities or the compatibility, right, is almost 100%. You don't need to worry that I need to do this extra configuration, I need to install this extra plugin. Nothing like that. You just go and use your user ID, password, and URLs. That's it. You are connected to your Git. So it became very easy as well. So and then requirements management. So if you are using, I guess if you are working already, then you might be using Jira most of the times to maintain your requirements. It can be anything. If you don't know Jira, Jira is a tool. You can access it from portal like a web application where you maintain your requirements. I would say features. That means creating some servers, creating some login functionality, creating some APIs, etc. These are all the requirements, right? You maintain all these requirements uh, the way you maintain in Excel sheet. You maintain all these requirements in Jira, and Jira is having integration with your uh, uh, security controls like Active Directory, etc. Let us say you need to log into your laptop, use your AD account, right? If you are working for a company, of course, if it is your own laptop, it's just your user ID and password. Okay, so what this Jira contains, so you can go and create your requirements in the Jira, and you can assign them to the people, and then you can track it actually. This is a separate system. So, but in Azure DevOps, you will maintain all these requirements in a requirements management tool called uh, Azure Boards. So there it is Jira or some other platform. Here you call it as a Azure Boards. So you can maintain that, and we will see that one as well. So we will go in sequential mode. That means we start from the requirements, right? And we will start from the relevant tool in Azure DevOps, and we go in sequence. That means you will complete the entire software development lifecycle automation. And then you have the project management. Of course, you are maintaining your requirements in the requirements management tool under Azure DevOps. And you also have the project management. That means that your project manager is tracking you, right? How many hours you are spending, how many requirements are completed or in progress, or how many requirements are having some issues, how much effort is spending. Let us say uh, your project is for 1 month, you might have already spent 2 weeks, but did we really complete 2 weeks of work in that 2 weeks? Such kind of tracking can be, can be done in our Azure DevOps as well. We will see that stuff as well. You don't need to be an expert in project management, but end of the session, you will tell your project manager that this is how we have to manage your requirements. So it is easy to use. That means, they don't need to send emails to different developers saying, hey, just send me your status, send me your status. They don't need to ask actually. They can get it from the tool itself when you set up the platform properly. And then automated builds and deployments. We talk the developers develop some code, the database developers develop some scripts, and they have to be built, and then they have to be deployed to the some servers. In your day-to-day life, if you're not following automation, you do it manually. That means you develop it and you give the binaries to some release manager or some build engineer, and your project manager or tester will approve it. Testers will go and test it manually. This is all manual work, right? You collaborate it via emails or direct communication, and you create a hell lot of documentation, Word documents or PPTs, and then you share it with multiple people across the teams, and you will have a number of calls or meetings overnight or whatever it is. After doing all these different activities, you will be able to deploy your code to some server, and the users will be able to use your application. So this is all manual. So you make it automated. So you call it as automated builds and deployments in Azure DevOps. The DevOps terminology here is a CI/CD. CI means continuous integration. CD means continuous deployment. CI related to your automated builds. CD refer to your automated deployments. So when you say I know DevOps, right? When you tell someone that I know DevOps, instead of using the words called I do automated builds and deployments, you simply say I do CI/CD. If you are simply saying automated builds and deployments, the other person may not be getting interest. If you know CI/CD relevant terminology, then they know that you know it, or you are familiar, or you are already working on it. Start using a DevOps terminology rather than regular terminology. And then you have a testing. So in regular way, the application is deployed and it is made available to the testers. They go and access the application and test it, and they note down the bugs, and then they will log in some in Excel file, or they email it, or they maintain it in some defect management tools like HPQC, or they maintain the bugs in the Jira Excel. There are a number of tools and utilities to maintain the defects as well. We call it as a bug tracker. So you have the similar system available in Azure DevOps. Okay, we talk about them. We learn actually. And then you have the infrastructure as code. So in this session, I mean, in this course, we will not be covering infrastructure as code, because this is for application DevOps, where you are dealing with the applications. Means the builds, deployments of your applications. When you say infrastructure as a core, right? This is related to infrastructure, guys. That means if you need a VM, somebody manually go and create that VM by logging to some virtual. Or if you want some physical server, your finance has to approve the budget, and somebody go and order from the Dell or someone. It will come as a courier, and that will be moved to the data center, and they set it up. So this is how it works, right? But infrastructure service, it is on cloud, on your private cloud or public cloud. Instead of going and creating virtual machine manually from the software, you will have a script. Simply go and run the script. It will create a virtual machine based on the parameters what you provide. Let us say you give the name, you give the how much RAM you need, 8 GB, 16 GB, etc., and how much hard disk you need. All these parameters will be given to that scripts. So you have a number of tools to do the infrastructure as code. You can do it using the ORM templates that are available in Azure DevOps, and you have the Terraform. You might have heard of it. Terraform, Ansible, Chef, Puppet, and there are hundreds of tools like that. The most famous are Ansible, Chef, Puppet, and then Terraform. Terraform is for cloud, but Ansible, Chef, Puppet, you can use it for on-premise servers as well. So we are not covering the infrastructure as code, because this is for the application DevOps, not for the infra DevOps. Okay, there is a confusion here, because nowadays, right, you get a DevOps engineer position. 99% of the JDs doesn't contain whether that is for application DevOps or infra DevOps. Only clients like techie clients, right? Like clients like a JPMC or Microsoft or AWS or Google or such kind of techie clients or Bank of America, they know what they are doing. They clearly mention this role is for the infrastructure, guys, infrastructure DevOps, and this DevOps engineer position is for the application DevOps. They clearly mention it, because you are an infrastructure guy, and if you are being interviewed for application DevOps, you don't know anything about it. Of course, nobody says that you can't learn it, but you already spent 3 years, 4 years in some career, and if you are switching, right, when they are hiring you from external agencies, they expect you to work from the day one. If you don't know the background, you can't work from day one. So that's where both the people get into trouble, both the resources and as well as the company who is hiring. So you have infrastructure DevOps and application DevOps. Infrastructure DevOps is referred to your infrastructure as code, IaaC, and application DevOps related to all your application development lifecycle. Okay. And then release management. So you also do automation of your release management. If you don't know release management, it is very simple. Release management is nothing but all of the activities that you are doing as part of your development or anything. That means this is a process. Release management is a process. That means somebody is doing requirements analysis. That means they create the requirements, they understand it, they keep it in a sequence, what has to be done after what step, etc. Let us say one requirement is a login functionality. Some of the features for the login functionality, you need to have a user ID, you need to have a password, and you need to have a submit button or login button. These are the different activities involved in the login page, right? Who is doing that one? Somebody, some business analyst or some leader is doing that one. So this is one of the process in your release management. And then you are doing coding. This is one of the process in your release management. And you are deploying. This is one of the process in your release management. Testing, like this. In your release management, you have a number of processes involved. And some of them might be automated. Some of them might be, what do you say, manual. And you might see most of the times it's all about email communication. Your project manager or somebody will ask you, hey, deploy the code to dev environment. That's an email communication, right? And you may see it, you may not see it. Okay, it may take some time, and nobody knows or nobody tracks it basically. Okay, when did the project manager send you the email to deploy the application, and when did you do it actually? There might have been some lag actually, 2 3 hours lag or a day lag. Who cares, right? So your efforts are not being tracked actually. So these are the different processes in release management happening manual or automated, but we do automation for the release management as well. That means when you are doing automation for all these different processes in your development lifecycle, ultimately you are automating your release management process as well. So that means one simple example is I deploy my application to dev environment, and then what happens? Some developers test it, they feel happy, and then they will deploy to the test environment, and they send an email to the testing people saying that now the application is available in the test environment, go ahead and test it. And then they start testing. After that, what happens? You need to deploy to the UAT environment or production environment, based on the environments you have, right? Then what happens? We need some approvals. Okay, so it might be from the project manager or the product owner or your VP, whoever it is, based on the complexity of your application, right? You need approval. Okay, you will send an email, but there is nothing stopping you to deploy your application, right? If I want to screw, or if I don't have patience, I can deploy the application without your approval as well, because approval is a separate manual activity, and your deployment is a separate manual activity. While the approval is pending from you, you get just an email. I can go ahead and deploy my application. No one can stop me, because it's all manual and they don't have any dependency. Means until unless it is done, it cannot be done. There is no such kind of thing because it is manual. But when you are doing it from the platforms like Azure DevOps, you are not maintaining anything manual. Okay, you are doing it in an automated way, and your deployments are linked with approval, and your deployments are linked with your code, means build artifacts like this. If step one doesn't succeed, you cannot go to step two because it's not manual. So basically, I'm enforcing some rules and regulations on the team members. So what I do, I go to my Azure DevOps platform. I create some automated workflows or approval mechanism. Let us say the application is deployed to the test environment. From the tool, somebody has to approve it, the relevant stakeholder. If they don't approve it, the deployment will not progress to the next level. And you don't have any control to deploy because this is automated. If you try to do it, it will be tracked. So then you will be fired, right? So there is no chance for mistakes when you are doing it in a automated way with a complete governance in place. So when I say complete governance in place, let us say I give administrator access to all of you guys, what I can do? Or if I am sharing my administrator same ID being used by n number of people, who I can complain? Because I'm using the same ID, you might have done it, I might have done it. There is no proof that that's done it. So you need to have a governance in place, like okay, this guy should have only read access. This guy should have the deployment access. This guy should have the build access. Etc. So you need to have such controls in place. So when you are doing the release management automation, and all those can be done from the Azure DevOps. and uh, and it is very easy to understand because you have the lot of documentation, as I said, and we will do, I mean, every day. Basically today we are talking about theory because you need to have the background, but everyday session will be a lab actually. I'll be doing in front of you. Probably I'll be talking for 10 or 15 minutes about what we are going to do, and then 80% will be labs every day. So these are the different things that are available in Azure DevOps. Now we can relate the manual activities in the software development lifecycle and what you can do in Azure DevOps. And these are the different features available. And then one last thing. So you also can do, I mean, we did not talk about monitoring and integration with other DevOps tools, and then reporting. Monitoring means if you are already an infrastructure guy or if you're already working in some company, your infrastructure or your applications are being monitored by some tools. It can be from HP, it can be from Microsoft, it can be SolarWinds, it can be Nagios. There are hundreds of tools available. Those tools are monitoring your servers or applications. Okay, we also talk about that. What basically monitored and how you integrate. Let us say in monitoring tool, you will get some alert that this application is down until unless somebody tells you, you do not know. But you can integrate that with your pipe, with your Azure DevOps. So an alert will get rushed. It can be an SMS, it can be your email based on the way the organization prefers. And the integration with third-party tools. That means your company might already be using some Jenkins or something, but they want to move to Azure DevOps because of some cost concerns or some skills concerns, whatever it is. Let us say you want to move to the latest technologies, Azure DevOps, and easy to use, easy to set up, etc. But you cannot simply, from day one, you cannot simply stop Jenkins and move to the Azure DevOps, right? Because your applications are running and thousands of people are using those services. So the only thing is you can move in a progressive manner. I mean, every month or week based on your project schedule, you can move applications from your current environment to the newer environment. In that times, you need to integrate tools. We talk about it. That's not complicated in the first session. So Azure DevOps supports integration with any number of n number of third-party utilities. You name it, it will be there. Actually, we will see it in action. So I will stop it here for today. I mean about Azure Cloud Fundamentals, and you know what is Azure DevOps now, what features are available in Azure DevOps. And from tomorrow onwards, we actually get into Azure DevOps and start using those relevant features. We talk about requirements management like Azure repos, continuous integration, continuous deployment, continuous testing, and your monitoring activities. We will go in sequence and we learn all of that stuff using Azure DevOps platform. So that's it for today, guys. I'll open to question and answers now. We are covering. I mean, if you already attended the demo, right? I shown one slide actually, and I shown only a couple of bullet points each and every case. So what happens in requirements management? What happens in coding case? What happens in testing case, right? So obviously, when you are doing an automation without knowing the manual activities, we cannot automate it, right? We have to know manual activities. Then only you can do automation. So what happens as part of this course, we are covering the manual activities and then we are doing the automation. So end of the day, we know manual ways of SDLC and automated way of SDLC. If somebody says I know only automation, if he doesn't know manual activities, then that's not true. What you are automating? You are automating what you are doing in a manual. So you are covering both aspects. But from Azure DevOps, what you can learn? So Azure DevOps is a platform, right? We cover all the CI, CD, CD, and the monitoring activities. The heart is here CI, CD. And as part of these things, you also have the code quality stuff. That's a separate tool called SonarQube. So we also learned that the configuration of SonarQube for the code quality checks. And for automation testing, we have a n number of tools in the market, and mostly used tool is Selenium. You might have heard of it. So Selenium automation test cases, right? So we also learned Selenium, but not in depth. So because Selenium test cases being written by automation testers. But as a DevOps engineer, you need to take those automation test cases written the way you are taking the code from the developer. Once they write it, you integrate those test cases with your deployment. Once you deploy the application, your automation test cases will go and test them actually. So you also learn how to integrate your Selenium test cases with your deployment pipeline. So you learn SonarQube and then Selenium, and you also learn PowerShell. You might have seen the content, and you also learn fundamentals of Kubernetes, because Kubernetes is again a version. It's a separate code. The way the Azure cloud, right? We are now learning only one piece of Azure cloud, that is Azure DevOps. But we have another more than 200 features available in Azure DevOps. Even Azure cloud administration doesn't know all of those features. They also know only 2-3%. So we have the Azure IoT administration or IoT developers, Azure Big Data developer, that is a separate one. And then we have Azure AI/ML, that is a separate. So different people have a different skill set. They go and learn their respective skill set in cloud. And this is for DevOps. That's why you are learning Azure DevOps. Yeah, we will give you basics, because ARM templates comes under infrastructure as code. That is basically to create your machines, network, storage, or any PaaS services you are using. You can do it from the ARM template. That's in-depth stuff actually. But as part of this course, we will teach you the fundamentals of ARM templates. So you can get started. Either you can go and join something, or you can start exploring yourself. But it takes time actually, because ARM templates, let us say you have 100 features in Azure Cloud. You will be able to create all those services using ARM templates. Even if you spend 2-3 days to learn automation of one feature, it takes 1 year for you, right? So it cannot be covered here, but we will give you fundamentals, how to create ARM templates, how you will execute them, or how you will integrate with your DevOps file. So PowerShell also same thing, Kubernetes also the same thing, and CI, CD, CD, all these things are in there, because these are the heart of your DevOps. Any questions online, guys?
Hi, Purna, this is Shiva here. So as part of our training, uh, do we cover .NET applications or Java applications for pipeline building stuff and all?
Can you please speak a little bit louder?
No, as part of our training, do we cover .NET applications or Java-based applications for pipeline
Just give me a
building
minute.
stuff?
I'm not able to hear. Can you speak
I
a
will
little bit
text you.
louder,
I will
please?
text you once. I will text you in that case.
Hello?
Are you Purna?
Yes, this is Puna. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he was asking, as part of this training, are you covering C# or Java application in order to implement CI/CD? That's what he said.
We will be covering .NET applications, builds and deployments as part of Azure DevOps, but also that is in depth. But we also show some Java applications as well, and even some Python as well, so that you will get a feeling of how to do DevOps for different application toolset. But throughout the course, we will be using .NET applications.
And regarding monitoring, Purna, so let's say if I wanted to publish the results to my customer, okay? See, so let's say in CA or CD, if something goes wrong, and I wanted to see how many CAs run, how many errors, and where I got the error, and if at all, I wanted to show that to customer. So how can I import that to a Power BI? Meaning, is there any mechanism involved already, or do I need to write something for this?
No, you will not write the Power BI, or you will not create the Power BI reports here, because Power BI is a separate thing. So what this is for a DevOps course, right? As a DevOps engineer, you will configure all the notifications for all your development lifecycle pages. Let us say you will configure alerts and notifications for builds, deployments, or monitoring activities. All those alerts information is available in your Azure DevOps repositories. And if some Power BI guy want to use it, that Power BI guy can create dashboards or reports to use this information available. Power BI
Correct.
is a separate one.
Yeah, I got it. Power BI is a separate product, I got it. The only thing I'm asking for, can we import the data, the logging information into the Power BI? That's what I'm
Yes, yes. Azure DevOps provides you those APIs. If they want,
okay.
if the Power BI or SSRS, anyone wants to use it, they can go ahead and connect to the APIs to consume that data. That is
Okay, you
possible.
can you can write custom events as well if I wanted to.
Pardon?
Let's say, can I write any custom events? Let's say when my CI starts, I wanted to log something. You know,
Yeah,
if
you can
we
do it. You can do it using PowerShell.
okay, right.
You can use, I mean, if you want to go in depth, right, you can use a PowerShell task in Azure DevOps and you can do whatever you want.
Okay, but basic things we are going to discuss in this, right?
Pardon?
No, basics like PowerShell basics we are going to
Yeah,
discuss in
we
this.
are covering. We are covering PowerShell. You can have a close look at the course content. We are covering the PowerShell.
Okay.
You will be able to write the PowerShell scripts end of this course as well. So, okay, guys, I have another 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, I have a very basic question.
Yeah, please.
How long is this course for?
So this will last for around 40 hours.
40 hours means if you take
So
5 days, right?
per day 1 hour, okay. But see, generally we might be spending some 10 or 15 minutes extra. But it will last for anywhere between 35 to 40 hours. I would say you can make it a 35 days then.
Okay.
So
So if I
I
had,
talk about hours always.
okay. How about the other ones? Like I see it here for AKS, other session that you are mentioning in your list here.
What is
I'm
that?
just going that I got the course content
Okay.
and I'm looking at the next gen DevOps and then end-to-end DevOps.
Yeah, so
So
we are covering the fundamentals. Next-gen DevOps is nothing but your, Dockers and Kubernetes and infrastructure as code. We are covering the fundamentals of those areas as well. Whatever you see in the course content will be taught in this session.
okay, I do see another one is end-to-end DevOps, but it says in the bracket, full course will be
End-to-end
separate.
DevOps means all the way from requirements management till the maintenance or monitoring in your environment.
Okay, sounds good.
Purna, I
So
have a question.
yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
here for requirement management, you had mentioned like you'll be covering the Azure boards. Is it same as Kanban board? That is what you're.
Yeah, we will be as part of requirements management. Azure DevOps currently is having Scrum, and then you also have the waterfall methodologies configured there. Okay, Kanban is a process basically. We talk about it how you use a Kanban here, and for you already have the Scrum templates in Azure DevOps, but we will talk about Kanban. It's a process. It's not basically a tool.
Okay, thank you.
Anything related to project management, right? It's all about process. How well you use it actually. We will talk about them as part of your Azure boards.
Okay.
If at all, if I miss any training for one day, so is it recording is going to be available, or how guys?
Yeah, that the recordings are available. Basically, Visual Path will give you access to their portal, and you can access from there.
Okay.
So the time would be the same, right?
Yeah, timings is 8 to 9. Yes.
Cool.
Okay, guys, we'll stop for today. And if you have any questions, please reach out to Visual Path Management, and we will be happy to resolve your queries.
I have one question.
Yes, please.
Hello.